Iodine is the key to unlock good health. Before the advent of the pharmaceutical industry, iodine was the number one go-to for like over 1,000 different health ailments.
Neck pain, backaches, headaches, fatigue, the list goes on, and you're likely on it. Tired of the broken system and big pharma? We offer logical solutions, teach you to think critically, and empower you to reclaim your health. Welcome to the Unplugged Healthcast with Dr. Kevin Wall.
Hey, welcome back to the Unplugged Healthcast. Dr. Wall here, your host. We are doing a follow-up, a part 2 episode on the toxins in our world and the things that we live with, unfortunately, that make us sick. So we have got back our guest, Dr. Chris Dorais, back into the show. Doc, good to have you back again.
Glad to be here.
We're following up. We left him hanging on the last show. We got the top 6. We didn't give him the top 4 toxins. But before maybe we get into our show today, not only are we going to give you the top 4 reasons that maybe you're toxic and what's making you sick, but we're today going to bring you some solutions you may not be aware of, some answers, some directions, some guidance, and some, I wouldn't say recommendations because we're not going to be your doctors, but we're going to give each other recommendations. That sounds fair.
Absolutely.
We'll give you one. You can give me one.
Sounds good.
All right. Before we get going, we talked last time about the episodes that we have so many exposure to toxins, but the problem that I think people don't relate to is what I call the mystery diseases, these mystery conditions. In fact, I've watched over 36 years of practice, these conditions that show up that never existed before. But the common pattern of all these diagnoses that didn't really seem to be around 25, 30 years ago is that we get all these conditions or symptoms that the doctors can't treat, don't fix, don't understand. And so they have to come up with a name for it, and then a name gives the pharmaceutical company a license to create a drug that somehow treats it. So what a great program that they've got going out there where they can make cash with new diagnosis, new drugs for new diseases that never used to exist. And the problem is it's not fixing us at all. We're more chronically ill today than we ever have been. We aren't getting better, we're getting worse. And so the system's broken. You kind of know it, we kind of know it. But today I want to spend a little time on this condition or these conditions that are in the category of autoimmune disorders. Because I don't know if there's a number, I exactly know how many, but there's easily 20, 30 autoimmune disorders out there today that didn't exist 30 years ago. And you're not going to find an answer over in the autoimmune medical laboratory. What you're going to find is an answer in to figure out why your body is attacking itself. Because if we're going to talk about autoimmune mystery conditions, you have to know it's because your body sees something inside it doesn't like and it attacks it. That's what the definition of autoimmune disorder is. So whatever they called it, whatever label you've been given, whatever diagnosis, disease, and disability you have been named or labeled, I can tell you the solution's probably going to come today in the area of detox or toxicity elimination. Doc, what are your thoughts of autoimmune disorders and this mystery problem that seems to be happening?
The word epidemic is used a lot, and I think it's used casually, but in this case, I think it's completely accurate. We are at epidemic levels of autoimmune diseases and sicknesses. Sickness unknown. Doctors are just scratching their heads, chasing symptoms, and making billions of dollars. And again, many of these doctors are good people. They're good men, good women who are just trying to help people. They got into medicine because they have a passion. They want to give people hope. But the system itself is sick. And so in order to work within that system, I think it's not impossible, but it's exceedingly difficult. You have to kind of come out of the system, kind of come out of the matrix, if I could use that analogy, and then you'll see it through different eyes. And once you experience it, as I did and as so many other people did, then you can never, it's like what you hear sometimes about, I can never unsee this. Once I've seen something, I can never unsee it. Yeah. Once you come out of the system, you just look at the whole world differently. And you are the walking proof that the system can't help you because you put thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars and hours and lost years into chasing solutions that were not solutions at all. That certainly is my story. And I'm walking proof that you can recapture those years. You can regain, from scripture, you can regain the years the locusts have stolen. And once you do that, you never see the world the same way.
Well, that's the theme of our podcast today, is that there is hope for your future. We talk about it often. Most of you have been told that you'll never get out of this. You're labeled the rest of your life. But I can tell you it's probably not true. There is an answer. There's a solution. And if you have any thought or reason that you're dealing with an autoimmune disorder, you need to go back and listen to our last episode about detoxing and toxicity, because the answer is going to be get rid of the crap that's inside of your body that your body's attacking. Don't try to just fix the diagnosis with another medication, because actually I think number 3 or 4 on our list of toxins that are actually making you sick are medications. Most of your body can't even break them down. So we're throwing good money after bad, and we're chasing the wrong rabbits down the wrong hole. So, Doc, if we're going to finish our podcast episode on toxins, we probably better get to it. We got 4 more, the top 4. We're on number 4 on your list of toxins in your daily life that you may or may not be aware of that are making you chronically ill. And in our world today, our podcast, possibly causing your autoimmune disorder. Your mystery illness is not really that big of a mystery, is it?
Not at all. Once you understand it, again, once you come out of the matrix a little bit and you see it from the other side, it all starts to click.
It does.
And then your life changes, because as you implement the detox protocols and you're faithful to do so, which most people aren't, actually. They want to do it once, and you got to stick with it. It's kind of like getting into the gym and you say, I want to get in the gym, I want to get in shape, I want to start working out, and I'm going to go one time. And hey, I'm still heavy, or I'm still weak, or I'm so wait, you got to go more than one time. It's got to be a kind of a new lifestyle.
I think you need to be my co-host, because you just referenced about 7 of my last podcasts. But I think two podcasts ago was called The Grand Canyon of Healthcare.
Sure.
Quick fix, you think, one visit, pay nothing is how you're going to get your health back. Now, you got to persist. You got to give yourself and give your doctor and give the protocols time and persistence. And like our theme of the podcast, food, water, and sunlight over time makes healthy plants. Consistently apply these principles we're talking about, you'll be shocked. Doc, what are we at? Number 4 on our list of toxins that are killing us.
Well, this one is something that might surprise people. And just before I get into the top 4, just to repeat what I said in the previous podcast, I'm going to offend you. I'm just letting you know right now. And you're going to disagree. And this is going to be something that's going to surprise you. And so I'm just asking our listeners to listen with an open mind, do your own research. But the list here is slightly unconventional. But you mentioned food, water, and sunlight. Well, that's where we're focusing the top 4.
Okay, do it.
Bromine.
Bromine. It's like bromance. Is that like, hey, bro?
Yeah, this is actually, this is on our periodic table. And so if I could just talk chemically for just a second. So when God created the universe, he used 92 different elements to put things together. And those 92 elements are called the periodic table of the elements. Number 1 is hydrogen. Number 2 is helium. Number 3, lithium, and so on and so forth. Carbon's on there, oxygen's on there, nitrogen's on there. Well, there's a column on the periodic table that goes like this. And I'm going to list off some chemicals. You know them all. The first is fluorine, where we get fluoride. Right. Below that is chlorine, chloride. Below that is bromine, bromide. Below that is iodine. Now, we've probably heard of most of those. Maybe bromine's probably the one most people have not heard of. But all of those chemicals in that column have similar chemical characteristics, and they can do some good things, and they can do some very, very bad things. It all depends on how it's applied and how long it's applied and in what concentrations it's applied. Now, the best one on that list, if I could say the best one, they're all good, but they can all be poison as well, is iodine. Your body needs iodine. Yeah. Iodine is the key to unlock good health. Before the advent of the pharmaceutical industry, iodine was the number one go-to for like over 1,000 different health ailments. So iodine was the go-to until about the 1940s. That doesn't mean that iodine isn't still as powerful as it was for thousands of years. It is. But we've kind of been brainwashed a little bit, especially in the West, to think that, well, we can do better now. And we've got these vaccines and we've got these different chemicals that we've made. But still, iodine still plugs away. It does what it's supposed to do. And that's to kill the bad guys and to promote good cellular health and growth. And so going back to our number 4, bromine and fluorine and chlorine in the same category as iodine, as again, they have similar chemical characteristics. But if your body is exposed to an overwhelming amount of bromine or fluorine or chlorine, because of the way your body receives it, and there's a lot of chemistry here that I don't want to get really complex, but the body will sacrifice the iodine if it's exposed to bromine. And you don't want to be iodine deficient. And even according to the World Health Organization, 2/3 of the entire globe is iodine deficient. And that's not a good thing, because what that means is that your immune system is now weakened. Iodine is like the soldier that can't be beat in your army. Anything that comes against iodine, it destroys it. And iodine is also a very, very powerful anti-cancer chemical as well. And I can prove that to you in just a little bit. But when you're exposed to bromine in excessive amounts, your body will excrete iodine. So that's the only thing that I think our listeners need to get a hold of right now. And you say, well, how am I exposed to bromine? I don't know how. Believe it or not, it's found in many, if not most, flours or breads. And it's used as a rising agent. Before the advent of bromine, back in the day, they used to actually put iodine in our flour to help with the gluten and the rising of bread. Well, food manufacturers, for X, Y, and Z reasons, found out, well, we don't want to do iodine. It's too expensive or it's too much of a hassle. Let's put bromine instead. And they did that to your detriment and to the detriment of anyone who's exposed to it, because now we have too much bromine in our system, which causes iodine to be excreted. So let me just tell you for a second, again, what iodine does, and I'm going to focus on cancer. So again, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, all in the same column on the periodic table. They all have similar chemical characteristics. The most important one on that list is iodine. It helps your body's immune system fight off infection, diseases, kills parasites, and also it's an anti-cancer agent. If you're iodine deficient, you are far more susceptible to a variety of cancers. Iodine is critical for health, and just the fact that 2/3 of the world's population is iodine deficient should signal alarms in everyone's head that something that we're doing is really, really wrong. Another contributor to our iodine deficiency, besides our deluge and avalanche of things like bromine, is the fact that commercial agriculture does not respect the laws of nature. We put in pKn, phosphorus, potassium, nitrogen. That's it. All these trace elements, including iodine, are deficient in our soils. So the bottom line is a tomato from the 1950s might look, certainly doesn't taste, but it might look like a tomato from 2025. But that's it. The nutritional value of food in 2025 is far less than what it was 50 years ago, 75 years ago, because of commercial agriculture.
So we're saying bromine, which causes your iodine to be depleted out of your body. We're getting exposed to too much of this through our food.
Yes.
Is that what I'm?
Yes, it's specifically in flour, and okay. Most breads contain bromine, and so this is something that causes your body to sap out iodine. And again, the importance of iodine in detoxing can't be understated. It cannot be understated, because iodine, you cut yourself. What do you do to keep infection from coming around? Again, what's infection? Infection is tiny bugs, microorganisms, getting into your bloodstream and causing all kinds of horrible things. So we want to stop infection, so we put iodine on our cut. Well, in the same way, iodine should be flowing through your system in order to kill parasites. It's in your bloodstream. It's all around your cells, and it protects you. It is your body's, I would say, number one immune system booster. If you are iodine deficient, your immune system is just weak, and it opens you up to a variety of an unlimited number of health issues. And again, there's a genetic component there. So if you're iodine deficient, you might have issue with your lungs or with your kidneys. And if I'm iodine deficient at the same level, mine might be intestinal or something to do with my thinking, just the way my brain functions. No, I wanted to talk just for a moment about the iodine cancer connection. So if you're iodine deficient, what that does is it causes cellular growth to be unchecked. Each cell has a program. And if the cell is sick, the cell actually has a program in its DNA to self-destruct. There's a chemical process for it. It's called cellular apoptosis.
Yep.
So think of it like the word sounds. It just pops. The cell is sick. It's mutated. It's deficient. It's defective, whatever. There's a program which causes the cell to kill itself. The fuse or the bomb that allows the cell to kill itself is iodine. It's inside each cell. It's part of the program. If the cell is mutated, it commits suicide. And the body takes those elements, it takes the material, turns it into something else. The body's a great recycler.
Yeah.
But if you're iodine deficient, then the cells will multiply in a mutated state. And what does that sound like to you?
Cancer.
Exactly. So iodine deficiency is tied to cancer and a variety of other cancers. And cancer is just ravaging the world. And there is research to support it, but people don't pay attention to it because we're not directed to the good research, which says iodine deficiency, actually, there's a strong correlation to cancers. That's not profitable. That's not palatable for the medical industry.
Painful, isn't it?
That's an understatement. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It robs people of hope, and it robs them of their wealth. It robs them of their lives. So iodine deficiency, cancer, a huge issue. And so bromine is my number 4 because it robs your body of iodine. If you have an excess amount of bromine in your system, again, it's in our food supply in the flour, then your body will, you'll literally urinate out the iodine that you need. And you're going to say, well, why does the body do that? It's a chemical process called electronegativity. Long and short of it is, think of it as anything above iodine on the periodic table is stronger than iodine in terms of grabbing its share of the cell's attention. Bromine just does that because it has that chemical ability.
We had a podcast here again recently on gluten issues. And gluten problems are, I'm not arguing, are an issue. I feel better when I don't eat bread or gluten, but I think we just uncovered something that people probably aren't connecting. A lot of the reason you probably feel better as you don't eat gluten is you're not getting bromine. Is this possible that this gluten diet that's such a fad makes you feel better, helps people lose weight, helps people be healthier, often is just relative to the fact that we're eliminating bromine?
Absolutely. And that's a shock. And a lot of people are listening to this and they're thinking like, there's no way that this is a connection. And I challenge you to do the research yourself. When people look at me with a skeptical eye, and as I said this in the previous podcast, when I first got better, I was this evangelist kind of where I'd go around and say, oh, this is wrong with you. And this is all you need to do. It's real simple. Don't spend a ton of money on pharmaceuticals. Don't spend a ton of money on seeing doctors. Do a cleanse and do a series of cleanses. You will feel better.
Is chronic pain holding you back? At AFC, our team is committed to your well-being. We provide holistic care, including chiropractic, physical medicine, immunotherapy, detox programs, and more. Our experts target the root cause of your pain for lasting relief. Book your consultation online or by phone and experience our smooth process. AFC, embrace a life without pain.
Let's keep moving. Number 3 now on their list of top toxins in your daily life that are killing you.
Well, it's related to bromine. It's up the chart on the periodic table. It's fluorine. Fluoride. It's found in our toothpaste. And unfortunately, it's found in our municipal water supply. You mentioned earlier about chlorine, which, a little spoiler here, that's number 2. But fluorine and chlorine and bromine all have the same effect. Once you're exposed to it in high amounts, it causes your body to excrete iodine, that precious chemical that you need to keep your immune system strong. That iodine is what you need to keep your parasite load small. We all have parasites. The question is your parasite overgrowth just getting out of control? Things like candida and other parasites.
Yeah.
Well, iodine helps with that. But if you're iodine deficient because of your exposure to fluorine, then there's your connection right there. And the chemistry is very, very simple. If you're exposed to fluorine in high amounts, you will excrete iodine. And fluorine is in our municipal water supplies. It shouldn't be there. We're told that it reduces cavities. And you think about that just for a second. This chemical, which is super, super powerful, super, super toxic, hydrofluoric acid is so powerful they can't even carry it in glass. It just burns right through glass. And it's on my teeth for like a few seconds, and then it goes down into my intestines. And what the fluorine does is none of it is good, because it wipes out the good bacteria in your intestine, causing you to have an overload of the bad guys. And
I think people kind of know a little bit about fluorine, that it's not good, but they still keep using it because it's really what most toothpaste have in it, right? There are very few out there that really don't have fluorine in it. Is that true?
Absolutely, yeah. And the notion that you need fluoride in your teeth is kind of, I think it's growing out of fashion. When I was a kid, they actually lined us up in our elementary school and gave us fluoride treatments in our school.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
Thank gosh.
But if you want to do some real interesting research, and it's a little conspiratorial, but just look at how the Nazis used fluorine in their water of their prison camps. It turns out that it has an effect of making prisoners more docile, more obedient. And that's a whole nother story we want to get into.
We may never come out. All right, let's, so bromine number 4, fluorine number 3, and number 2 again
Is chlorine.
Okay, how are we getting this? Where's this coming from?
Municipal water supply.
So that's the water supply.
Yeah, and you said this before, and this is something that people get so acclimated to chlorine. Say you're in your office and you go to the drinking fountain, and you press the button and you reach down and you take a drink. If you have not exposed yourself to chlorine for some time, then you're kind of out of the matrix a little bit, and you can smell the chlorine in the water.
Taste it.
Yeah, especially here in Arizona. The municipal water supply is just loaded with chlorine. It tastes almost like pool water.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And what that does to your system, not only does it cause you to excrete iodine, but again, it goes into your system and it wipes out the good bacteria in your intestines and the good bacteria throughout your body. The chlorine does what chlorine is supposed to do. It kills things. But because the amounts that we're getting are so enormous, that it's doing far more damage than good.
Wow, I'm getting depressed. Meaning, I got a picture. If you've been listening to these podcasts, you're getting a bit overwhelmed and possibly losing hope. But hang on, don't give up. We're going to bring you the hope here in just a moment. Let's finish this thing up. The number 1, I think I know what it is, and you haven't showed me the list, but I'm going to let you go with it. The number 1 toxin that is killing us on a daily basis is?
The readers, again, are going to be skeptical, and I'm going to surprise you.
I don't think so, because I think I've been preaching this for you, but go ahead.
It's mercury.
Oh, it's not the one I thought it was. All right.
What did you think?
High fructose corn syrup.
Oh.
I think you did sugar substitutes and you just left that one off the list just to be nice.
It's funny you said that because there's a connection between mercury and high fructose corn syrup, and it's in my book. And again, if you want to read my story, there's 2 books online and Amazon. One is Detox Memoir. It's about 300 pages, exhaustively annotated, mostly from government studies, and again, I did that deliberately to try to persuade, but also to give the readers hope that this guy isn't some conspiratorial guy. He actually did his research, and he used these credible sources to back up his claims. And then a couple of years later, people said, well, I don't want to read your book. I just want to clean myself up. Can you give me something more like the Cliff Notes version of how to detox myself? And so I wrote a second book called 12-Step Detox, also available on Amazon. And again, I make very little money. I'm not trying to sell books. I'm trying to bring hope, because I was just like a lot of our listeners. I had mystery illness, sickness unknown. I felt old and stretched out, thin. I felt like I was losing control of life. I'll tell you a little story here. And it was actually in Arizona here. I was teaching in Arizona in high school at a private school. And this was when I was in the thick of that first 7 years of just horrible food allergies, brain fog, hives, all kinds of issues, back pain, just incredibly debilitating. Mercury was at the core of my sickness, and it took years to kind of find my way back to a point of origin, and I'll explain it right now. But mercury is my number one, and people don't talk about mercury much anymore.
It was a big issue for a while. The fish, that seems to kind of get put to the wayside, but It's still out there.
Well, all of us, every single one of us in the United States is mercury toxic. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm going to prove it to you right now. And again, this is years of research. When I found out what mercury does, mercury literally shuts down every system. And again, I'm repeating myself, but there's a genetic component here. But when you're exposed to mercury has this unbelievable ability to be incredibly invasive. It's unique on the periodic table in that it is a metal but exists as a liquid at room temperature. That's incredibly powerful, incredibly important. Mercury has been for thousands of years known as a toxin.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the Romans, back in the old days of the Romans, 2,000 years ago, they used prisoners in their mercury mines. They used mercury as a dyeing agent. They used it in some of their plumbing, along with lead. They used it for a variety of purposes, many of which are good, but they also knew that mercury makes you crazy. It actually causes your brain to just fire in ways that it was not meant to, and it has a very powerful way of affecting your cognition. They knew it made you crazy, so they had prisoners in their cinnabar. That's the mercury compound that they used for, again, a variety of things, including textiles. They used prisoners to mine the mercury because they liked using it, but they didn't want to touch it. Well, we have mercury in our food supply, and here's the connection between this and high fructose corn syrup. As I was making my research and making the connections, that my mercury was really at the center of all of my health issues. And I'll tell you my situation just a little bit, but I wanted to connect it to high fructose corn syrup. I was just doing a ton of research, praying hard, asking God for wisdom and how to make this, all these connections, because the science is way too sophisticated. I couldn't understand it. And I was starting to come around to the research that I was exposed to mercury as a young boy. I had my first mercury filling when I was 9. And although that's serious, I found out in the research, and again, the government studies demonstrate this out, mercury is one of the few elements that can cross over the fetal blood barrier.
Yeah.
This is super important, because what this means is that mercury...
Every parent has passed down any mercury exposure they've ever had has been passed down generation after generation, probably in an accumulative state, because we just accumulate from what we have, and then all of a sudden we pass it to the next, and blah, 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 right? Just do the math, right?
Right. And that's why I can say with confidence that everybody listening, everyone, is mercury toxic to one degree or another.
Where are we getting this mercury today, though? Because everyone thinks it's been eliminated, right? They maybe don't eat the fish or avoid the fish, but you're saying it's still being handed to us in our food?
Absolutely. And so, and this is just one of those little miracles that happened while I was doing my research. I was pondering these things, and the vastness of it, the fact that I called it mercury, generational transmission of mercury. And I was just blown away that, oh my goodness, my mother, who, when she died, and she died at 70, literally had almost every tooth in her mouth was silvery. Yeah. And make no mistake, it's called silver amalgam. That's about 55% mercury. Again, that's another euphemism that they love to use.
Right.
It's
change the word, think it's different, but it's the same. But everyone kind of knows those filling things are bad. A lot of people have had them removed. They think they're not using it anymore. Are the dentists still using it?
They are, but mostly overseas. The last I read, it's being phased out in the United States because people are wising up, but the amalgam producers are just shipping it overseas. So if you go overseas, particularly in Latin America, which is a travesty, it's
So
still
worldwide it's killing them, but I'm
Right.
still struggling. And I picture our listeners are, we don't do it here anymore. I guess I got it passed on from my parents. That's possible. I probably still have some fillings myself. And maybe get rid of those, right? That would be a thought. But is that where all the mercury's coming from? Are there other places that it's come from? Because they're not using it anymore.
Right.
Everyone thinks.
Right. So here's the story. So I'm pondering these big ideas, and I literally got a phone call from a friend of mine who said, "Hey, did you hear about that?" And this is back in like 2009, I think. Did you hear about that study out of the Washington Post about mercury being in our food supply? And I was just like, "No, tell me though, because this is where my research is leading me right now." He goes, "Turns out it's in high fructose corn syrup." I said, "What?" And long story short, and you can read it for yourself. It's around 2009. It's in the Washington Post. They did a study, and they went up and down the food aisles, and they grabbed anything that had high fructose corn syrup in it. And then they did a study for mercury. They found out it's in about 40%.
Yeah.
How is that possible? Well, to make this artificial sweetener called high fructose corn syrup, they use, long and short, they use a chemical called sodium hydroxide. In order to make the sodium hydroxide, they used mercury. Mercury is the cathode, I believe, in an electrochemical process. Long story short, it leaches, kind of like what we said in our previous podcast. It's like a glyphosate. It leaches into the food supply, and it affects you so much so that it's not just in fish, it's in your foods, Oreo cookies, Smucker's grape jam, mercury. I know that's shocking. You're just like, no way, it's not possible.
I don't think it's that shocking, honestly. I've said this often, and we finally got to that connection. Thank you for helping me get there. But if you're listening to this saying, you've heard me talk about this one statement, I go, who knows that corn is not a fruit, right? How do you get fructose, which is fruit sugar? How do you get fructose from a vegetable called corn? And the answer is it's about 25 different chemical processes that you actually have to take corn through. You have to heat it up to about 900 degrees, and then you got to break it down. And I didn't know the chemicals, but I knew there were chemical processes that they used to get fructose out of a vegetable, corn. And now I understand it better than I did before. So number one, I'm going to just take over on that one. It's high fructose corn syrup, but it's mercury coming from there indirectly and the sources thereof. So there we go. The top 10, we made it. And if you've been listening this far, there's a chance you're sitting in a fetal position on the floor crying because you have just figured out you're probably toxic. We said that's where we're going. We got there. You're there with us now. So now here comes the hope. I'm going to go over in my head the top 4 or 5 things I know you can do to get out of this mess, to get clean, to avoid, to eliminate, to get toxic free. And then I'm going to have Dr. Dorais bring us home on his top 4 or 5 things that you should do that maybe I didn't hit.
Imagine a life where every movement doesn't come with a price tag of pain. At AFC, we don't just treat symptoms, we rebuild your confidence, one personalized treatment at a time. Our approach goes beyond temporary relief, targeting the root of your pain and helping you rediscover what your body can really do. Don't settle for surviving. Call us or visit our website today.
The first thing you can do is something that's been out there forever, and it's just as simple as fasting. You've heard of intermittent fasting, and if you just actually fasted or did intermittent fasting, which again is a big fad, people love it, they feel great, they lose weight, but half the benefit is you stop exposing your body to all these toxins that our food have in it that are causing your liver to be overwhelmed. Fasting, pretty simple. Number 2, I'm going to steal your thunder because I know it's probably on your list, but it's back on one that I've been talking about. You've got to eliminate high fructose corn syrup from everything you're doing. And it's not that hard anymore. In fact, I heard RFK talking that they're going to try to get it out of the pops and the sodas because that's where we've been really killed. Everybody's obese. Everyone's fat. High fructose corn syrup is a major issue in that. At the root of our children's health problems is high fructose corn syrup. You got to get it out of your system. Okay? Number 3, well, you talk about these chemicals, fluorine, chlorine. You can go buy toothpaste that's got no fluorine in it. I'm going to give you the one. It's called Hello toothpaste, I think. Have you seen this one? Hello. Just Google it. Hello toothpaste. It's fantastic. Ever since I started doing that, I've eliminated almost ever having cavities. And it's got no fluorine. It tastes fine, and it's so simple. Get rid of your toothpaste. Go to Hello toothpaste. And then number 4 in my list is you got to find pure sources of water. Now, they're out there. You can go with the reverse osmosis. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. But ultimately, there's lots of sources to find better ways to get water that doesn't have the fluorine, the chlorine. And then if you're going to go back and listen to my gluten-free podcast, just to get off the gluten right there, stop eating the bread. I took number 5. So there you go. There's 5 ways that you can get toxin-free. But Doc, bring us home. What are 4 or 5 ways not only can they eliminate or avoid, but maybe kind of get rid of the toxins?
Well, I love your list because it doesn't cost a lot of money.
It does. That was almost all free.
It's all free.
In fact, that toothpaste will save you money. A tiny dab versus a big squirt is all you need. Anyway, I'm going to stop preaching. Go for it.
No, that's excellent. So in my situation, people ask, well, I want to do a detox. I just don't feel like I used to, and I feel sick. I feel old. I feel just my brain fog is out of control. I found that, and I love all your protocols, but my situation was severe. It wasn't just enough to kind of like go cold turkey on things like high fructose corn syrup or even take supplements. Oh, I spent thousands of dollars taking supplements and supplements.
Everyone's out there doing that right now, fixing their problem. Because that leans into the pharmaceutical approach. Take a vitamin to fix my problem.
Right.
It's really not working, and you know it. It's not bad, but it's not the solution.
Yeah, the analogy would be, again, going back to my older brother. When I got my first car, I said, so what do I do? And he goes, okay, it's real simple. Don't drive crazy. And this was a 1973 Ventura with a rebuilt engine, so it's not like I'm going to drive crazy anyway.
A few of our listeners are feeling like 1973 Ventura rebuilt.
So it was kind of beat up anyway, but he said, well, just make sure every 6 months, 9 months or so, just make sure you change the oil. And this is the caveat, when you change the oil filter. Don't try to take a shortcut. Change the oil filter. And I did that until one day when I just didn't want to get under the engine, didn't want to monkey around with that oil filter wrench, couldn't get the leverage right. So I skipped that step. I just changed the oil, drained it, put in new oil. Checked it in a couple of weeks and it was black again. So no, you have to change the oil filter in order to keep your car engine running good. Well, the analogy is, especially if you were someone like me, and I was in my late 30s, early 40s, I was too far gone. I needed to change that oil filter. And the analogy is you need to do a liver cleanse. You've got to clean out the liver. And I found out that once I got serious with doing a liver flush consistently, not only did I feel better, but the supplements that I started taking, all of a sudden, I really got the bang for the buck. People say, oh, you need to take vitamin C, for this in your immune system. Oh, you need to take vitamin D for this in your mood and so on and so forth. Well, I took vitamin C and vitamin D. I didn't get any benefit from it. And I spent thousands of dollars on those supplements, thousands. But when I cleaned out my system and then I took the vitamin C or the vitamin D and just like, wow, this really works. So the science is there. It's the application that's at fault. And people, unfortunately, are like me. They're lazy. And you don't want to do the hard steps of doing the liver cleanse. The liver cleanse is not that difficult, especially after a while. It just gets easier and easier. But it's still work. And you have to stick with it in order to get the benefit from it. Once I cleaned out my liver and then I took the supplements, then I started to understand, man, this vitamin C does work. I'm almost never sick. And I work in a school where half the kids, especially in the wintertime,
Yep.
Dr. D, it's just like, boy, I'm glad my immune system. But in our school, when, the flu goes through, it just ravages people, especially with weak immune systems. People are down for days, if not weeks.
Yeah, people are so afraid of these viruses. I can tell you, you're not gonna outrace them. There's more viruses today. They're not going to die. They're like cockroaches. They just come because they're part of our ecosystem. The only way you keep ahead of it is your immune system, and liver flush is a big part of that.
Exactly. So once I did the liver cleanse, and I'm going to walk you through the steps of the liver cleanse. It's the benefits are unbelievable. Going back to last time our broadcast, my testosterone was down to about a 180, 182, and I didn't even know what that number meant. And the doctor said, well, if you drop down to 150, 160, you could die. So what do I do? And he goes, well, for a guy your age, you need to be about 300. Your age, your size. And he didn't really have any answers except, let's just watch this and maybe we'll get you on the patch if it goes down to 170s. And I didn't want to do that. Well, through a variety of circumstances and a lot of research and a lot of kind of blood, sweat, and tears, I found that the liver cleanse is one of the key things that helps to boost testosterone. And what the liver cleanse did was it basically reduced inflammation. My body was constantly in a state of hyperinflammation. And when your body is dealing with inflammation, it produces a chemical to reduce inflammation, of course. And that chemical is called cortisol. But the body produces cortisol and testosterone in inverse relations. If cortisol is high, testosterone is low. So if you're highly inflamed, your testosterone will be low. And that makes sense. You can kind of see almost God's thinking here. You don't want to be highly inflamed and have high testosterone, which will just cause the inflammation to go even higher. Then it's a race to the end. You don't want to have the ability to, dunk a basketball, high testosterone. If your cortisol is very high, you want it to be low cortisol, high testosterone. So as I cleaned out my liver, my cortisol levels were going lower, lower, lower. My testosterone was getting higher and higher and higher. And I was feeling better and better about myself to the point where I got my testosterone to about 540.
Wow.
For someone my age, it's kind of ridiculous. It's really kind of a cheat code. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything. I'm just saying, and people have no idea how much pain it was to all those wasted, lost years of just spending money. You mentioned, using good money to chase bad money, all the tens of thousands of dollars looking after doctor, and visit, and disappointment after disappointment when the answer was so much simpler. Yeah, it was just cleaning out your system.
All right, so your number one solution is going to be the liver flush, and versus I'm gonna actually reroute you because I think they need to go buy your book. The 12-step detox has got the full illustration of how to do that liver flush, yes. Liver cleanse. And so rather than taking the time in the podcast, just go buy the book. It's inexpensive on Amazon, and you know what? It'll also give you other answers. But what would be the number two thing people could do beyond the liver flush to maybe get out of these problems?
Well, the four main cleanses that I think can restore the lost years of a person's health are the liver cleanse, an intestinal cleanse, thyroid cleanse, and the kidney cleanse. The liver and the intestinal cleanse kind of go together because once you clean out your liver, that means your body is now producing bile, which is a substance that people say, well, bile is used to break down, meats and fats. And that's true. But the liver also produces bile for another, maybe even a more important reason. It goes through the 25 feet or so of your small and large intestines, and it scrubs it. It cleans it up of parasites because bile is highly alkaline. And so when you do the liver cleanse, it's kind of a 2-for-1. You clean out your intestines, you lower your parasite load, and you lower your cortisol levels, boosting testosterone and a whole other thing. So I would say a 2-for-1 would be the liver cleanse because you get the intestine cleanse as well. The number 3, I think, would be the thyroid cleanse. And the thyroid cleanse in 12-step detox is not my protocol. It's probably Dave Brownstein. Dr. Brownstein is probably one of the foremost leaders and thyroid expert in the world. And he practices in Michigan. It's impossible to see the guy.
Yeah.
But he wrote several books on iodine. And he came up with a protocol to clean your thyroid out of the toxins that it collects. Now, if just a little anatomy lesson here, the thyroid's here. And what it does, it produces thyroid hormones, very critical hormones used in so many functions of the body. But the bloodstream, goes through your thyroid about once every, so one single like red blood cell will go through your thyroid about every 30 minutes, all through the system, and then back to the thyroid again. The thyroid is also a type of filter. And so if you've got toxins going through your bloodstream, your thyroid will be affected by it. And thyroid disorders, again, I don't want to...
Huge.
It's huge. It's like epidemic levels.
Seems more in women than men, though, but I'm not sure.
Yes, I'd say that. And Brownstein, I believe it's Brownstein, says, and the thing about the thyroid disorders is that the thyroid testing, when they're looking at a range like this, if you're in this range, you're considered healthy, so your thyroid's good, we'll look elsewhere. He said, actually, that's not the case. It's more along the lines of that. To be in a healthy range of the thyroid, it's very specific markers. So most people are actually walking around with thyroid issues and they don't even know it. But the reason for the thyroid issues is going back to our thesis, which is toxicity. Toxins that are flowing in your bloodstream, specifically mercury, and some of the chemicals like acetaldehyde, ammonia, carbon monoxide, that are produced by parasites in your intestines. Again, these parasites outgas these horrible chemicals, goes in your bloodstream. The bloodstream goes through your thyroid every 30 minutes, and it causes your thyroid to slow down. Now, this is going to bring it back to iodine. In women and men, the body has a storehouse of iodine. The body realizes I need iodine and I need a lot of it. So when I'm running low, I need to draw on my reserves. Where is the reserve storehouse for iodine in the body? It's the thyroid.
Yeah.
The number one storehouse is the thyroid for men and women.
And I don't know how I can store it up. It's full of toxins.
Yes, and we'll get to that. But here's the interesting thing. Remember we said in the previous podcast that iodine deficiency, which is about 2/3 of the entire globe's population, is iodine deficient. Thyroid is the number one storehouse. In men, the number two storehouse is the prostate. And in women, it's the breasts. So if you are in an iodine deficient state, and again, iodine is your body's number one guardian against cancer, because if a cell is sick, the cell is built around a little instruction code which says, basically, if you are sick, commit suicide, and it's called cellular apoptosis. Iodine is the bomb that allows apoptosis to occur. If you're iodine deficient, a sick cell, a mutated cell, can't commit suicide. So it just grows in a mutated state. We call that cancer. Now, what type of cancers are devastating women? Breast cancer. And what type of cancers are devastating men?
Every man after 50 or 60 is worried about prostate cancer.
Prostate cancer. And that's because their iodine stores have been depleted. Why are they depleted? Because of our deluge of mercury, chlorine, fluorine, and bromine in our food and in our water. So we're all walking around very, very susceptible to cancer unless you take specific steps to restock those iodine supplies. And Dave Brownstein came up with a protocol, and it's in my book as well. So I'm giving Brownstein all the credit. All I did was take it from his thing, and I said, hey, this is his protocol, and I did it myself. And it's a way to slowly restock your iodine supplies in your thyroid and in your prostate for men, and in your thyroid and your breasts for women. And it's basically what I call the thyroid cleanse, or the thyroid reboot. And all you're doing is
more of a restore than a cleanse,
yes,
although there is some cleaning to allow it to be, so to speak, stored up again.
And here's the beauty, and this is the type of cleanse. This is the type of cleanse that everyone should do, and it's the type of cleanse that they like to do, because there really isn't a whole lot that you do. Your body does it for you. The liver cleanse, you've got to take some specific steps. And one of the instructors at our school, he said, I did your liver cleanse. Again, it's not mine. I got it out of a doctor out of Europe, but he said the day of, it's kind of miserable. The next day, it's not great either. But he said the second day after the cleanse, you feel like Captain America because you just feel boom. And it's one of those cleanses that you can actually see the results because it's there in the toilet water. And I don't want to go over that. Again, that's a little PG-13, but it's all good stuff. The thyroid cleanse is kind of like the dream cleanse because there's no side effects. It's so slow that you just go very, very slowly taking specific supplements. And then over time you start to, wow, I start to feel a little bit better. Again, the 12-step detox has the protocol in particular, but basically the 3 supplements that you take are iodine, selenium, and zinc. And you take them in specific amounts according to Brownstein's protocol, and it's a 9-month cleanse. Goes very, very slowly, but Brownstein states, and I attest to it, and many other people have done it as well, that over time, your storehouses, your supply of iodine and your prostate and your thyroid will be restored to normal levels.
Well, if you got anything from these podcasts, I hope you heard and listened to that one, because no one's talking to you about your thyroid and your iodine and cancer and how to be healthy. Most people are just got you so caught up with fear and concerns you're going to die, have your breast removed, have your prostate removed, you name it. And you can be proactive, and it's not hard. And I'll tell you, I've done your liver flush, liver cleanse multiple times. I've never had any side effects. I've always felt good. So I don't think that's true in everybody. I know that you've heard that, but I've done it. My wife's done it. I've had multiple patients do it. I've saved lots of gallbladders. My pastor's wife, my brother-in-law, multiple people, some people that have connected to our podcast, I know have done the flush and got multiple results. Right. And it's not really your flush as much as it is the flush. You just have perfected it, and you got it out there where people can use it, apply it, and understand it better. So, all right, well, we're going to wrap up our second episode on toxins. You got to be toxic with our toxin conversation, but hopefully it will turn around. You'll get clean. You'll take some steps. The worst thing you can do today, though, is to do nothing. We know that's a guarantee to stay sick, get worse, chronic illness, and just, end up with like a 1973 Ventura, need a full rebuild, and probably never get it. Either way, we've had a lot of fun. I hope you've had fun, got something out of our podcast. Again, I ask that you would share these. drkevinwall.com. Go online. If you have questions about our podcast, you can find me at my website, drkevinwall.com, theunpluggedhealthcast.com, and you can get answers. If these things have been confusing, they can reach out to me. But can they reach out to you, Doc? How do they find you? Can they?
I kind of like to stay off the grid a little bit there.
I know that you're out there being controversial, so people often take shots at you. But if you want messages answered, just send them to me. I'll get them through to Dr. Dorais, and I'll get you the answers. If you don't understand how to get clean, how to detox, how to save your thyroid, save your gallbladder, save your liver, get your intestinal tract. If your testosterone levels are low, I've had lots of people that are dealing with that, and they got no answers. Here's an answer. All right, Doc. Well, any last bit of advice we want to give the crowd?
Don't give up. There's hope. You can get these years back. The Bible says the Lord can restore the years the locusts have stolen. And that's true for me, and it can be true for you too.
There you go. That's our typical ending of our podcast anyway. Always remember, be healthy, be blessed, never give up, and never give in. There is hope for your health in the future. All right. Well, thanks for joining us again on another Unplugged Healthcast episode. We'll see you again on the next one. This is Dr. Wall and
Dr. Dorais.
We're signing off for today. We'll see you soon. Be blessed.
The information provided in this podcast is for general knowledge and informational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional for diagnosis and treatment of any medical condition. The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Unplugged Healthcast or Dr. Wall.